Hello, everybody. It's Sunday. Welcome to SPTV Live. Sorry, we are running a bit behind. It is completely Doug Kramer's fault from Days But Not Confused, who had the memo that we were going live at 8 p.m. UK time, which is midday his time, which was 10 minutes ago. And of course, he wanted to overrun and make sure that the whole schedule is running 10 minutes late. So thanks for that, Doug. Report to ethics immediately. Of course, I'm only joking. How is everyone doing? Welcome. This is a live stream, so I'm reading your comments in real time and will be keeping an eye on it. So thank you for joining, everybody. And before we get started, I do need to say a couple of things. Firstly, thank you and welcome to everyone who has supported the channel through Buy Me a Coffee and through channel membership. So Eggert Snorri Olafsson and TJ Snow 1, you guys are channel members now, so thank you for that. And Buy Me a Coffee, Mrs. J, Debbie Bruce, and there are 3 anonymous people who don't want their names shared. They are members and officially PTS on Buy Me a Coffee. So needed to shout out to say thank you to those guys. If you want to support the channel, the best way of doing it is liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, all that nonsense. But if you do want to support financially, you can buy me a coffee. There's a link below. And there's also channel memberships now enabled, and there are some cool perks attached to that. Anyway, that's the spiel over. Today, we've got a bit of fun planned. We've been working behind the scenes to get a few people involved on this. So welcome to the SP Challenge. So a week ago today, exactly 7 days ago on Sunday last week, I announced a challenge to any and all former Scientologists to send in a video with the most ridiculous sounding Scientology language sentence that they could think of. Now, the idea behind this was to really highlight one of the tools that Scientology used to coerce and control its members. Now, Scientology uses this language of its own. There's lots of abbreviations that you guys will already be aware of, like SP, OT, things like this, which are kind of known in the community of people who watch Scientology videos. But we really tone it down when we're on live streams and on videos. Like even if you look at Mike Rinder and Mark and Claire Headley and Aaron Smith-Levin, we use the lingo, and try and explain it, but it is really toned down. So the idea behind the SP challenge was to really highlight just how far this language goes when you're in Scientology. Now, creating a state of confusion and redefining words is a really common tactic used by coercive groups to control its members. By redefining words and confusing people, it puts you in a suggestible state. And that's one of the tools of hypnosis and coercion that Scientology use. So this was just a bit of fun, but wanted to really highlight how insane it can actually be. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play one of the videos, then I'm going to explain it. So I'll play it first so you can see it from start to finish and hear it for all its insanity. And then I'll play it again and stop it throughout and explain what all the words mean, so that you get the whole thing for once, like through once, and then you get it explained. The idea behind this is I want you guys to vote. I want the most ridiculous one to be crowned the SP challenge winner. So don't do it in the live chat, do it in the comments. Once the live stream is over, go into the comments of the video and vote for whoever's video thought was funniest or most insane. So the idea here is to highlight one of these coercive techniques that they use. So let me see if I can share my screen window. This one. Okay. So the first one was Mike Rinder was live the other day with Amy Scobie. For those of you who don't know, Mike Rinder was the director of OSA. He was in charge of the dirty tricks and PR side of things of Scientology, and Amy Scobie was in charge of the Celebrity Center. They've both obviously now left Scientology. And they were doing a live stream, and I thought that'd be a great opportunity. So I paid for a super chat, £5, and to get their entries. And I thought they were really funny. So I'm going to press play. If you guys can't hear it, let me know, and I will try doing it a different way. But this is the first entry: Mike Rinder and Amy Scobie. Before I continue, I just want to make sure you guys can hear it. So did you guys... Okay, and they just say no audio. Okay, fine. Bear with me in that case. I hear you. I hear you. Right, what I'm going to have to do is upload the video. What's the best way of doing this? Present video file. Bear with me, guys. I'm just figuring this out. This is so funny. I was watching these earlier and I just couldn't. I was laughing so much. All right, what we might have to do then. Bear with me, folks. Sorry. I should have figured this out beforehand. I'm just uploading the video to YouTube, and then I can share it. Bear with me, guys. Okay, it's just uploading. It's going to take apparently 20 seconds. So in the meantime, let me just say hello to everyone in the chat. Well, there's loads of you. Hi everybody. Hello Kayla. Hello Juliana. Hey Ellie May. Angie's in the chat. Goldie, got to put some love for Goldie in the chat. Denver Stevo. And Harter, absolutely smashing the likes early helps the algorithm. That is true. As I've always said, if you like, share, and subscribe, that's the and comment. That's the best way of supporting a channel. So please do that. Bear with. Okay, here we are. So it's not going to show it in the high definition that I want it to, but we'll have to do for now. Otherwise, we'll have to spend ages. Chrome tab, SP challenge. Okay, let's try that again. Tell me if you guys can hear this.
Yep. Apostate Alex, can you two give us your best sentence using the most Scientology jargon you can think of that would only make sense to a Scientologist? Please and thank you.
Okay, before we continue, can you hear the audio? Hopefully you can. Yes. Okay, fab. All right, let's do this. So as I said, we'll play the first video through once, and then I will re-roll it, play it again, and explain the jargon.
He was such a DB and so CI that made Hill 10, you know, out of every WOG that he was introduced to in the HGC.
Okay, that was pretty good.
So he's going to RPF.
I think that we need to run 3 GA crisscross on this failed PC who has unhandled Eve Pups and CI to actually achieving the objectives of Scientology.
There we go.
Or something.
Okay, that was brilliant. There's actually some stuff in there that I didn't know. 3GI crisscross or whatever it was. I had to look that up. So love it. Let's rewind and I will explain what they were both going on about. So
yep. Apostate Alex, can you two give us your best sentence using the most Scientology jargon you can think of that would only make sense to a Scientologist? Please and thank you.
He was such a DB and so.
Okay, he was such a DB. DB stands for degraded being. That means someone who is not doing well in life. You know, he's a degraded being. He's not a good guy. He's got bad intentions and so on. So he was such a DB. He was a degraded being.
He was such a DB and so CI.
So CI means counter intention. So that's like a resistance to authority or disobedience. The idea is if you have an intention to clear the planet, which is what Scientologists want to do, if that's the intention. So CI is going against that. You're doing something that is counter the intention of whatever you're trying to do.
That made Hill 10.
Hill 10 is like a big problem. Like if you're climbing a hill, you're trying to get over a problem. That's what Hill 10 means.
You know, out of every WOG that he was introduced to in the.
So making Hill 10 out of every WOG he was introduced to means making a big problem, a big deal out of anyone who's a non-Scientologist that he meets. Now, that W word is actually quite offensive here in the UK, so I'm not going to use it too much in this video, but it is something that is used in Scientology to refer to someone who is not a Scientologist. It is a racial slur. It doesn't have the same gravitas in the States as it does here. It is a really offensive word here in the UK, equivalent to the N word. So as I said, I'm not going to use it too much. But in the context of defining it, it's used to mean a non-Scientologist.
HGC.
And HGC is Hubbard Guidance Center. That's where you go to get your auditing. So effectively what she's saying is you are this bad person that's going against what the church says, and you're making a big deal about anyone who isn't a Scientologist and goes to get auditing. That is the translation of what Amy Scobie was saying in that sentence.
Okay, that was pretty good.
So he's going to RPF.
And RPF is Rehabilitation Project Force, which means that's something that you do when you're in the SEALG. If you've done something bad, it's a punishment type system. And that's where you hear of the Hole and all these sort of horrible places where abuses and things happen. You get assigned to the RPF. It's a punishment when you're in the SEALG.
I think that we need to run 3GA crisscross.
Okay, so this one I had to look up because I didn't know what this meant. 3GA crisscross is an auditing process that is used to diagnose or figure out the cause of a problem, as far as I understand it. Any Scientologists in the chat, please correct me if I'm wrong. I never did that. I wasn't a trained auditor. But as far as I'm aware, by saying I need to run 3GA crisscross, that means I need to run this auditing process on someone.
On this failed PC.
Failed PC. So PC is pre-clear. That's someone who hasn't yet achieved the state of clear. So I need to run 3GA crisscross on this failed PC. So this student of Scientology, this person who's a Scientologist, has got some issues, right? He's failing. He's not getting the gains and wins he wants to get. And we need to run this diagnosis process on him, is it basically what Mike Rinder means by that.
Who has unhandled Eve Perps.
So in Scientology, you use the word handling a lot. You want to handle a problem or handle some sort of issue. So if it's unhandled, that means it's still a problem. And Eve Perps is evil purposes. So again, that's similar to counter intention. It's like if you're not wanting everyone to succeed in life, you have an evil intention or an evil purpose.
And CI
had that before, counter intention.
To actually achieving the objectives of Scientology.
There we go.
Or something.
So, so that was Mike Rinder and Amy Scobie. Should we have it one more time just for shits and gigs? Let's just watch it through once again, just so we all get a handle on it.
Yep. Apostate Alex, can you two give us your best sentence using the most Scientology jargon you can think of that would only make sense to a Scientologist? Please and thank you.
He was such a DB and so CI that made Hill 10, out of every WOG that he was introduced to in the HGC.
Okay, that was pretty good.
So he's going to RPF.
I think that we need to run 3 GA crisscross on this failed PC who has unhandled Eve Pups and CI to actually achieving the objectives of Scientology.
There we go.
Or something.
Oh, it gets better every time I watch it. As Ann Harter said, almost only the articles of the sentence don't need translation. That's the idea. I mean, these sentences are a little bit over the top. It's not exactly how you wouldn't speak precisely like this in Scientology, but the idea is bringing attention to it. That's from Strange Jargon, absolutely 100%. And in Theta, I did see your comment. CI, the last CI means command intention. Yeah, so CI, as well as counter intention, can also mean command intention, which is like Aaron Hubbard. He's got command intention. He knows what he's doing. He's got the ultimate goal, the ultimate responsibility for Scientology. So that was Mike Grinder and Amy Scobie's entry. The next entry we have Doug Scott Kramer from Dazed But Not Confused, who, just one more time, I need to remind everyone, is the reason we were running late today, because he overran on his live stream. Thanks, Doug. So his entry here is taken from a stream that he did. He sent it to me and edited it slightly, and it gives another example of some Scientology jargon.
Dave, by you talking about Scientology right now, you're really fucking interpolating me. I'm going to write a KR on you. You're at SP. You need to do the conditions. And I hope you're okay with that. My ARC and KRC is being shattered. I'm going into a sad effect, and you really need to handle that. A conversation among my family would be like, look, you're out 2D. You need to get your ethics in. You need to at least get up to the condition of normal. And, you know, we'll set up a meeting for you to get your auditing to, you know, handle that part in your bank, or maybe you just need to do the TRs and get your focus in better.
All right. So that was Doug Scott Kramer.
Dave.
Oh, another great one. Love it, Doug. Thank you for your entry. Let's dissect that a little bit. Here we go.
By you talking about Scientology right now, you're really fucking interpolating me.
So interpolating in Scientology, the term interpolation means like I always used to think of it as like, imagine you have like calm seas and then you have a bump in the sea like a wave. That's interpolation. You're interpolating, which basically means creating an issue or spreading bad news, negative information. So if you're interpolating someone, that's a bad thing.
I'm going to write a KR.
I'm going to write a KR on you. So in Scientology, there's this whole system of reports. Reports are really, really important in Scientology. There's reports for things that shouldn't be. There's all different types of reports. And one of them is a knowledge report, which is probably the most common or most widely used type of report, which is part of this snitch culture in Scientology. The idea of the knowledge report is you see something that happens or you're aware of something going on, you would write a report on it to the ethics officer, because in Scientology, if you are seen to be, if you know about something that's happened that's bad, and that person gets in trouble and it's then later found out that you were aware of it and didn't write a KR, you also will get in trouble. So there's a snitch culture that exists. So that's what a knowledge report is, a KR.
You're an SP. You need to do the conditions.
You're an SP. SP, suppressive person. That's someone who's anti-Scientology, against Scientology, doing the conditions. So in the ethics book, Scientology Introduction to Ethics, there's a thing called the conditions, the lower conditions, which is effectively, I don't necessarily want to call it punishment but it kind of is. The idea is if you've done something bad or wrong, or you're out ethics, meaning you're not applying Scientology ethics correctly, you're assigned a condition. Now, actually a good way of explaining it is statistics. So if you are, like I was director of public book sales, I was selling books, my stats were going up. And if my stats started going down, there's different conditions according to what the stat is doing. So there's there's like power, there's all of this sort of thing. And the lower conditions are assigned based on what your stat is doing. So if your stat crashes, you know, there might be a doubt formula or emergency or whatever. It's basically a thing you do when you are in trouble or your stats have gone down. It's a formula that you would need to follow to remedy that situation and get back on track.
And I hope you're okay with that. My ARC and KRC is being shattered.
ARC, KRC. So these are two really important fundamental things in Scientology. They're two like triangles that are used to describe affinity, reality, communication. Those are supposedly the components of understanding. And the idea is that if you have a lot of communication with someone, at the same time, affinity, so how much you like someone, you agree with them, goes up, and so does reality, how much you agree with, and they work in tandem. So your ARC with someone can be broken when you have an upset, or it can be improved, and they kind of move together. And KRC is another one. It's knowledge, responsibility, control, I think off the top of my head, which is another sort of principle. So having ARC and KRC off is a bad thing.
I'm going into a sad effect, and you really need to handle that.
Going into a sad effect, I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. You're going in, you're being an effect of your reactive mind. You need to handle it, you need to fix it.
A conversation among my family would be like, look, you're out 2D.
Out 2D. So in Scientology, you have the dynamics. Life is split up into 8 dynamics. The first dynamic is self. The second dynamic is sex, relationships, family, and it goes through groups, you know, plant life and animal life, and, you know, the earth. You have mess, the physical world. You have right up to the 8th dynamic, which is infinity or God. The second dynamic being sex or relationships or family. Being out 2D means you are cheating on your wife, or you're doing something that's not positively impacting your relationship situation.
You need to get your ethics in.
Getting your ethics in just means applying the ethics formulas, like the conditions we talked about, to try and remedy situations and living an ethical and good life according to Scientology.
You need to at least get up to the condition of normal.
Condition of normal, that's another condition. You have the lower conditions, and then normal is when your stats are kind of even, or like, you know, it's not just stats, it's just an easy way of explaining it. You can be in a condition of normal.
And, you know, we'll set up a meeting for you to get your auditing to, you know, handle that part in your bank, or maybe you just need to do the TRs.
So bank is another term for the reactive mind. In Scientology, we talk about the idea of you having an analytical part of the mind and a reactive part of the mind. And having a reactive mind is a bad thing. Going clear is actually the process of getting rid of your reactive mind. Obviously, scientifically, this is not actually a thing. This is just something Oren Hubbard made up. But your bank is your bank of engrams. So if you have a reactive mind, it's filled up with almost like a bank of memories of past trauma or pain, and those can be re-stimulated at any time. So when you talk about your bank, you're talking about that kind of bank of memories in your head that are in your reactive mind. No, something else in there I missed.
You just need to do the TRs.
TRs are training routines. So in Scientology, one of the things you do when you got the bridge to total freedom is your training routines. There are lots of different ones. TR0 is perhaps the one that people are most familiar with in this community, which is bull baiting. It's when you sit there and confront reality. So you would sit there with your eyes closed, then you'd sit there with your eyes open, looking at someone and just staring. And the idea is you'll be able to confront reality and be okay with just being present in real time. And then it elevates up to the bull baiting technique, which is where someone can do anything they possibly want and can to try and get you to react to something, whether that's shouting in your face or jumping around or clapping right in front of your face. And the idea is that they want to get you to react, and the more you do it, you then won't react. So you can fully be present time and confront any situation. So that's what it means by doing the TRs, or getting the TRs in, is confronting any situation and being real and there and in present time.
And get your focus in better.
Okay, so let's just watch that one last time. Now I've cleared all of that up for you. Also, just to say, in the description is a link to a Scientology glossary that explains a lot of all of these terms. So if I'm going too quickly or you want to read up on it, check the link down below. But here we go. This is Doug once again.
Scientology right now, you're really fucking interpolating me. I'm going to write a KR on you. You're at SP. You need to do the conditions. And I hope you're okay with that. My ARC and KRC is being shattered. I'm going into a sad effect, and you really need to handle that. A conversation among my family would be like, look, you're out 2D. You need to get your ethics in. You need to at least get up to the condition of normal. And, you know, we'll set up a meeting for you to get your auditing to, you know, handle that part in your bank, or maybe you just need to do the TRs and get your focus in better.
Alrighty, okay, so that was Doug Scott Kramer from Dazed But Not Confused. Remember, I want you guys to vote for which one you think is the funniest or most insane. So far we've had Mike Rinder, we've had Amy Scobie, and now we've had Doug Scott Kramer from Dazed But Not Confused. Next up is Jeffrey Augustine, who runs the website Scientology Money Project. He is a private investigator and knows a lot about Scientology. He was a former Scientologist. He's currently married to Karen Della Carriere, who is, she used to be married to Heba Jensi, Scientology, the president of Scientology International. So he goes quite quick in this one, which just makes it even funnier. So this is Jeffrey Augustine's SP Challenge entry.
We in RTC conducted a rollback and found the exact why for the Hilton flapping flap on COB's lines, which was a black PR campaign orchestrated by the unholy cabal of big pharma and British bankers designed to interpolate Scientology organizations by promoting a false datum to WOG journals that COB had locked away his 2D for her having put counterintention on his lines by musical chairing the gold-based org board. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Oh, that one's so brilliant. Oh, I think it's even funnier that he says it so quickly, because it just goes straight over your head. But let's dissect that a little bit. All right.
Found the exact why.
Wait, hold on. Let me find the beginning here.
And get your focus in better.
We in RTC conducted.
So we in RTC is the Religious Technology Center. It's the top of Scientology. They're the one. That's the one that when Dave Miscavige is chairman of the board, he's the chairman of the board of RTC. So they're the ones at the very top of the hierarchy, in charge of everything. Religious Technology Center.
Did a rollback and found the exact.
So we did a rollback. That means like an investigation.
Why for the Hilton flapping flap on.
And found the exact why. Again, it's a word that you guys know what it means, but it's used in a different way in Scientology. So found the why just basically means found the reason for. I've got to get this in the right order. It goes so quickly.
We in RTC conducted a rollback and found the exact why for the Hilton.
Okay, for the Hill 10, I think I explained that earlier. That's just like the big problem. And a flap is just, you know, something that's gone wrong, like a PR flap, a problem that you need to handle.
RTC conducted a rollback and found the exact why for the Hilton flapping flap on COB's lines.
On COB's lines. So COB is chairman of the board. That's Dave Miscavige, the leader of the church. On his lines, basically in Scientology, you talk about a comm line. It's just a way of saying you have a connection with someone. You also have lines meaning kind of like the work that you're doing. So if he has a problem on his lines, that means it's a problem in his environment, right? It's a problem in front of him that he's having to deal with.
Which was a black PR campaign or
a black PR campaign. So in Scientology, any press that is negative against Scientology is black PR, PR being public relations.
Orchestrated by the unholy cabal of big pharma and British bankers.
orchestrated by the unholy cabal of Big Pharma and British bankers. Basically, in Scientology, there's a conspiracy that Big Pharma, psychiatrists, bankers, and all of this are together in a group trying to manipulate and control the world. And that's what he means is by this unholy cabal means like this group that is actively going against it's like a secret political or anti-Scientology movement that's trying to go against Scientology. They're conspiring together.
Designed to interpolate Scientology organizations.
Designed to interpolate Scientology organizations. Again, we talked about interpolation earlier. That's like creating problems for them.
By promoting a false datum.
There's so much in this. Oh. False data, a false datum, it just means something, a lie, something that's not true. In Scientology, you talk about false data. You talk about finding a stable datum is something like finding the truth in the situation. So a false datum is a lie, basically.
To WOG journals that COB.
To that W word that we explained before. So non-Scientologists, journalists, COB, chairman of the board.
Had locked away his 2D for her having put counterintention on his line.
So locked up, COB locked up his 2D. So that means Dave Miscavige locked up his wife, Shelley Miscavige, because his 2D, his second dynamic, his relationship is his wife. So what he's saying here is he locked Shelley Miscavige up for her CI, her counterintentions. So he put her away because she was going against what Dave Miscavige wanted her to do.
Lines by musical chairing the gold-based org board. Nothing
by musical chairing the gold-based org board. Musical chairs, you guys all know what that is. That's kind of pretty self-explanatory. Gold base is where Gold and Era Productions is based. It's also known as the Int base in Scientology over in Clearwater, not in Clearwater, in California, which is where Mark Headley used to work, and Claire Headley. It's where before Scientology Media Productions, which is the new AV unit of Scientology, it used to be where they made all of the audiovisual stuff like adverts and commercials and things like this. Org board. So in Scientology, you have a way of organizing an organization, a company or a church or whatever. And the idea is that you have divisions. So you have like treasury as a division, HCO, public communication office, the ethics and all of that. That's a division. You have, I was in the public 6A division, which is book selling and promotion. You have dissemination as a division, so the organization is split up on what's called an org board. And it really clearly shows what people's jobs are and their job titles, and shows a line of command. So by musical chairing the gold-based org board, you know what musical chairs means: moving around, taking up little pieces of a job and not completing it, and jumping around between posts all the time. At the gold base, which is in California, and the org board is the structure, organization structure.
Could be further from the truth.
Okay, so let's watch that through one more time. Now that I've explained everything, here is Jeffrey Augustine.
Better.
We in RTC conducted a rollback and found the exact why for the Hilton flapping flap on COB's lines, which was a black PR campaign orchestrated by the unholy cabal of Big Pharma and British bankers, designed to interpolate Scientology organizations by promoting a false datum to WOG journals that COB had locked away his 2D for her having put counterintention on his lines by musical chairing the gold-based org board. Nothing could be further from the truth.
Oh, that one was excellent. Okay, next up we have, and don't forget, guys, I want you to vote for which one you think is the funniest. So don't do it in the live chat, do it in the comments once this is finished. Next up, we have Martin Padfield. He was a SEAL member here in the UK. I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago. If you haven't already, go check it out. Fascinating. We actually recorded a part 2 today that will be going live to channel members probably later tonight, and live for everybody else tomorrow, I believe, if all goes well in post-production. But he submitted this excellent entry. So here is Martin Padfield.
Your HUNR and your DevT and your CI is crashing the stats right across my lines. And if you don't get your ethics in, you'll be on the decks doing ethics conditions by dynamics, and getting sec checked to within an inch of your life.
All right, so let's dissect that, Martin Padfield. All right, so
Your HENR and
your HE and R. So HE and R stands for human emotion and reaction. So again, in Scientology, we're talking about this reactive mind thing that you're trying to get rid of. Having emotions and reactions to things is seen as negative. You're trying to get rid of your reactive mind. You're trying to get rid of these emotions. So if you're HENR, that's not a good thing because you're showing your emotions. There's a rule called no case on post. If you're upset about something, you don't want to be letting that influence your decision making and your job in Scientology because it's seen to be something that gets in the way. And when you're thinking with your reactive mind, you're not thinking analytically. So that's what HENR means.
DevT and
DevT, another great one. DevT is developed traffic. So if you think of, this is what I got in trouble for in Scientology, actually, was I sent David Miscavige, chairman of the board, a telex saying, hey, I'm the new guy at London Org. I want to let you know I'm here and this is what I'm doing and so on. And I got in trouble for creating DevT, which stands for developed traffic. It means adding stuff onto someone's workload that is not necessary. So the idea is if you are trying to figure something out, you're doing something really important at work and you've got some annoying, intern kind of being, hey, excuse me, how do I save this Word document? I can't quite figure out how to save it. It's like a little problem that you can figure out yourself that you don't need to bother me for. But what you're doing, you're adding traffic to my lines. You're giving me more problems than I need. So that's what DevT stands for.
and your CI is crashing the stats.
Your CI, your counter-intention, is crashing the stats. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. I explained what counter-intention means. So by being counter-intention, by going against what you're being told to do, and by not being fully on board with Scientology's mission, you are making all of our statistics go down. That's what that means.
Right across my lines.
Right across my lines. We talked about lines earlier. So if you are a staff member, you have a lot of things on your plate and you're doing lots of different jobs and different tasks at hand. Those are your lines. So your DevT across my lines mean, and crashing stats across your lines means all of the tasks and things you're responsible for.
And if you don't get your ethics in,
so get your ethics in. Again, that just means, read the ethics book, apply what's in it, and live an ethical and correct life.
you'll be on the decks doing
on the decks. So I think most people know what that means. Scientology, Sea Organization, is based on Owen Hubbard's love for the Navy. So on the decks is like a punishment, scrubbing the decks. It's very common in naval terminology.
ethics conditions by dynamics.
So we talked earlier about doing the... This is hilarious. I'm sorry, I just need to take a minute. I've really enjoyed doing this so far. Doing the ethics conditions, we discussed that earlier. So that's going through a formula to try and resolve the situation using Scientology ethics. I can't even remember what it was. Doing it, by dynamics. So doing ethics by dynamics means going through each of your dynamics. So you have the first dynamic, self; second dynamic, sex and family; third dynamic, groups; life, split up into these 8 dynamics. Doing ethics conditions by dynamics means going through each and every one of your dynamics in life and assigning a condition according to that. So in your first dynamic, are you succeeding? Are you doing well? Are you upstat? Are you producing? Are you feeling happy? Second dynamic, family. Okay, maybe I have a problem with my spouse. So that might be a danger condition or so on. And it's applying the ethics conditions formulas to each dynamic of your life so that you can handle them and get them all into a place of being upstat or positive.
And getting sec checked. So
sec checked, security checked. We talk a lot about this in Scientology. If you are... There's lots of reasons why you would do a sec check, but it's basically where you get asked lots of questions like what are you doing to attack Scientology, or if you Google Joburg sec check, it gives you it's like an interrogation basically on the e-meter to find out what your CIs are, what your counter intentions are.
Into your life.
All right, so that was Martin Padfield. Let's have it once more from the top, just to be fair, because everyone gets the same treatment.
Datum to weigh his 2D lines board.
Okay, here, Martin Padfield.
Your HUNR and your DevT and your CI is crashing the stats right across my lines. And if you don't get your ethics in, you'll be on the decks doing ethics conditions by dynamics and getting sec checked to within an inch of your life.
So what he means there in a nutshell is, because you're being emotional and upset, you are creating extra work for me, and you're making my statistics fall, and we're not succeeding because you're being emotional and reacting to something. So if you don't sort it out now, we're going to interrogate you and you'll be punished. That's basically what Martin means in that sentence. I love these. These are hilarious. Okay, next up we have Karen de la Carriere.
You are an OT8, and there's been a report to OSA about you dating a WOG. You are going to now see the MAA for your out ethics, and you're going to first be regged for 25 hours of sec checks. Shame on you dating a WOG.
Okie dokie. So that was Karen de la Carriere. For those of you who don't know, she has a channel called Surviving Scientology, I believe. She used to be married to Heber Jensch, who was the president of Church of Scientology International. So let's dissect that a little bit.
Sec checks to within an inch of your life.
All right.
You are an OT8.
You are an OT8. So in Scientology, you have the bridge to total freedom. After you achieve the state of clear, which is when you get rid of your reactive mind, you have OT, operating theta, which means you are in complete control. Sorry, I'm being really distracted by the chat. You guys are hilarious. I will go through all of this after we've gone through all of the videos, but you are making me laugh a lot. Please tag me, use @apostatealex to get my attention in the chat, or super chats as well, because they'll come up in a different color. I'll see them a lot better. So OT8 is the top of the bridge. That's the highest state of spiritual enlightenment you can get in Scientology.
And there's been a report to OSA.
So OSA is the Office of Special Affairs. That is the dirty tricks and the PR department of Scientology. They conduct investigations and fair game and all that sort of stuff.
About you dating a WOG.
We've already explained W word. That just means a non-Scientologist.
You are going to now see the MAA.
The MAA is Master at Arms. That is the SEALG version of an ethics officer. That's the person who's in charge in the SEALG of applying ethics and making sure people are following the ethical standards of Scientology.
For your out ethics.
So out ethics, that just means you're not, you're out ethics. You're not following the ethical way you're meant to live. You're doing something wrong. You're out ethics. Is just another way of saying you're not doing something right.
And you're going to first be regged.
So reg means like it comes from the word registrar. So if you're going to be sold something in Scientology, or you want to buy a course, you would go and see the reg, which is short for registrar. So if you're being regged for something, that means someone's trying to sell you something. So if you're being regged an intensive of auditing, that means someone's in the church is trying to sell you a package of 12.5 hours of auditing. That's called being regged. You can also say, I'm going to reg someone, or I am regging, which means you are selling or you're going to sell something.
For 25 hours of sec checks.
Sec checks, we covered that already. That's an interrogation in Scientology using the e-meter.
Shame on you dating a WOG.
So shame on you for dating a non-Scientologist. So this, guys, is the last one. And to be totally honest with you, it had me cracking up. I'm even laughing just thinking about it. Catherine Olsen is a former Sea Org member who I've interviewed on my channel before. She is absolutely fantastic. And I must say, she did a stellar job, like a stellar effort for this. And let's watch it all through and then I'll dissect it. So this is Catherine Olsen, everybody.
Bear with me. I'm going to read this from something I typed. I wanted to get it exactly right. I was declared for blowing the Sea Org. They want me to do my A to E steps, but I'm utterly CI. Probably because I, 1, have too much black PR from the SPs in the WOG world. 2, I have unhandled evil purposes. And 3, I may be A to J, or possibly type 3, definitely NCG, and my grade 2 is unflat. I also may have gone out 2D a few times since I left. Since I escaped, I've never been more keyed out, on purpose, and upstat in my entire whole track existence. Thank you.
Oh, that was excellent. How funny. Dave, not confused. That was more one sentence disqualified. Yes, that is true. She did go overboard with it. It's more than a sentence, but I've allowed it simply because it is so hilarious and such a good example of how the Scientology lingo can be used to make a sentence. Like everything I've played so far would make total sense to a Scientologist, which is just what I want to do is highlight how insane that is. So let's dissect this one little bit at a time.
I'm going to read this from something I typed. I wanted to get it exactly right. I was declared for blowing the Sea Org.
I was declared for blowing the Sea Org. So in Scientology, you have this idea of a suppressive person, an SP, someone that is anti-Scientology, speaking out negatively against the church. So if you speak out against the church, you can be declared an SP, which is a declaration that you get, or they don't do it so much anymore physically, but you used to get a physical declaration that says this person is a suppressive person because he's done this, listing their crimes against Scientology. So being declared, that means, you know, you're being publicly shamed effectively. For blowing the Sea Org, a blow is an unauthorized departure. So by leaving this, when you join the Sea Org, you sign a 1 billion year contract. It is a lifetime commitment. So blowing the Sea Org is leaving as an unauthorized departure before the end of your contract or without properly rooting out of it. So you are declared because you've blown the Sea Org, you've left without prior authorization.
They want me to do my A to E steps.
They want me to do my A to E steps. So when you are declared, the whole idea of Scientology is you've always got to have the door always has to be open. So even if you're declared a suppressive person, the idea is that you can always do something to get back in good graces with the church. And A to E steps are the things you have to do if you're declared a suppressive person to get back in good standing with the church. And it includes things like making a public statement that you lied or you were wrong or what you said is incorrect, and then also attacking the people you sided with before. So if you look at Marty Rathbun, he's a prime example of someone that's publicly done some of the A to E steps, because he made all these videos attacking the church, and then later on down the line he made videos attacking Mike Grinder and Aaron Smith-Levin and Mark Headley and Claire Headley, and because he got sucked back into the church. And part of his A to E steps would have been disavowing or shaming or discrediting the stuff he said earlier publicly. So that's what he's done with those videos.
But I'm utterly CI.
I'm utterly CI. Again, counter intention. So I'm not doing what I'm told. I'm going against authority.
Probably because I, 1, have too much black PR.
So have too much black PR. We talked earlier about that. Black PR is reading negative news articles and stories about Scientology. So the way that it's used in the sentence is I have too much black PR, rather than saying I've read a story about Scientology on the web that's not good, or I've read an anti-Scientology article. You would say I have black PR. because it's kind of like once you've read it, you've got it. It's a part of you now. So I have too much black PR.
From the SPs and
From the SPs, suppressive people, suppressive persons.
the WOG world.
In the W world, that's the, in the non-Scientology world.
2, I have unhandled evil purposes.
Unhandled means something you haven't fixed or sorted out yet, and evil purposes, as you said, as we said earlier, that's like something. If you have good intentions, a good purpose in life, like helping someone, evil intentions is you want to destroy people, or you want to destroy someone's career or something negative.
And 3, I may be A to J or possibly type 3.
So what Catherine here is talking about is PTS, potential trouble source. Now, I was declared a PTS type D, potential trouble source type D, and there are different types. So A to J are the different types of sources of trouble. Let me go back a second because I can't remember what it was word for word.
And 3, I may be A to J or possibly type 3.
Oh yeah, type 3. So these are types of potential trouble source, PTS. If you are A to J, if you're anti-Scientology or you're a source of trouble, you have to do certain, there's like a list of questions that you have to go through in a session, like, have your family or friends expressed any anti-Scientology views, or have you ever threatened to attack Scientology, or are you undercover trying to investigate Scientology? These are the questions they ask you when you join staff, and when you're on staff. If they think you're potentially a source of trouble, they'll ask you these questions, and answering yes to any of these questions is likely to lead you to be declared a potential trouble source. So that's what she means by A to J. Type 3 is also another form of potential trouble source. There are, I think it's 3, there might be 4 different types of PTS, and one is you are connected to a suppressive person. Another one is that you could have been re-stimulated, so something happened and it's reminded you of a time when you were connected to a suppressive person, and there's another one where it could be in a past life. So you could be PTS, but actually it's just because you've been reminded of a time when you were connected to a suppressive person in a past life 200 million years ago or whatever. So it can get a bit wacky.
Definitely NCG. And my grade 2 is unflat. Type 3. Definitely NCG.
NCG means no case gain. So inside, the more I go through these, the more I realize just how ridiculous it all is. So in Scientology auditing, you have your case. So that's your auditing, like progression, I suppose, and no case gain. NCG is when you're receiving auditing, but you're not getting the wins that you want to get. So if you are receiving auditing, it's meant to make you feel better, and you're meant to feel more in control of your life and so on. Those are your wins, and it's called case gain. So you're going up the bridge, you're doing good in life, Scientology is helping you. So when you are no case gain, NCG, that means you're not winning, you're not succeeding, something's not happening right, because you're not benefiting from Scientology.
And my grade 2 is unflat.
So in the Bridge to Total Freedom, you have different grades as part of this journey to spiritual enlightenment. So grade 2 is just one of the steps on the bridge. And Catherine also said unflat. So if you are, what's the best way to explain this? If you are flat on something, it means you have no reaction to it. So if something is done correctly, you're flat on it. So if you are doing ball baiting TR0, and someone says you're fat, for example, and that's a button for you, you don't like someone calling you fat or calling you a bigot or whatever, and that gets you to react. You will keep drilling that, you'll keep doing it over and over again, someone calling you that word, until you can not react to it, until you can deal with someone calling you fat or a bigot or whatever that word is, and you not react. Because the idea is the reactive mind that's making you react to that word. So if you're flat on something, you're not reacting to it, you're not responding to it, which is a good thing. That means you are confronting it and you're in control, and your analytical mind is what's in control rather than the reactive mind. So if it's unflat, that means it's not been done properly. That means you are still using your reactive mind rather than thinking rationally. So when Catherine says, my grade 2 is unflat, that means you haven't done it properly. And the idea in Scientology is you can't progress to the next level until you've completely finished the one before and it's been signed off and done correctly. So what Catherine is saying here is that I did grade 2 and I didn't do it correctly, and I'm still haven't reached the end phenomena, so it's not been done properly.
I also may have gone out 2D.
Going out 2D, again, that's what we mentioned earlier. Second dynamics of going out 2D is cheating on your spouse, or some sort of sexual perversion, or homosexuality would be considered out 2D, because Scientology is anti-homosexuality, anti-LGBTQ+. It's considered a sexual perversion in Scientology. So being out 2D could be anything from cheating on your spouse to flirting with another person, or being gay or bi or anything like that. That's out 2D.
A few times since I left. Since I escaped, I've never been more keyed out.
So keyed out. This is another one to do with the reactive mind. So keyed out is when your reactive mind is not affecting you right now. The idea is that it's not influencing you. So if you're keyed in, that means imagine a door with a lock on it, and if the key is in the door, like in the lock, and it's open the door, then that's allowed something to come through. It's allowed the reactive mind to come through and take effect over you. So when it's keyed in, that means you're allowing the reactive mind to impact you. So keyed out means the key's not in the door anymore. The reactive mind is not affecting you. You are thinking rationally.
On purpose and upstat in my entire...
So upstat is up statistic. That means you are doing everything you're meant to do. You're achieving, your statistics are going up on the graph.
Whole track existence.
And whole track existence. So in Scientology, you look at what's called your track, which is your whole life and previous lives, is all recorded as a memory that you can access through auditing. So when you audit, you don't just audit this life, you audit past lives as well, which is your whole track of existence. It's like your whole history, your whole life before this life. So excellent submission here from Catherine. Let's watch it again from start to finish. And this is the last one from the SP challenge.
Bear with me. I'm going to read this from something I typed. I wanted to get it exactly right. I was declared for blowing the Seord. They want me to do my A to E steps, but I'm utterly CI. Probably because I, 1, have too much black PR from the SPs in the WOG world. 2, I have unhandled evil purposes. And 3, I may be A to J, or possibly type 3, definitely NCG, and my grade 2 is unflat. I also may have gone out 2D a few times since I left. Since I escaped, I've never been more keyed out, on purpose, and upstat in my entire whole track existence. Thank you.
All right, guys. So thank you so much for everyone that took part in that. That was the SP challenge. I only played that because I was going to clip it and maybe make a separate SP challenge video. So thank you so much, everyone that took part in that. I want to put this out to the public vote. So I hope you enjoyed it. I want you guys to vote in the comments for which one you think was the most ridiculous or the most silly sounding or funniest, and I will crown that person the winner of the SP challenge. The idea of doing this was because I want to raise awareness that this language Scientology uses or comes up with to create this state of confusion that allows for control, because it puts you in a suggestible state. So I hope this brought to light just how mad the language actually is, and how we do really tone it down a lot in our videos on SPTV. Because as much as these were a bit overboard, we wouldn't exactly talk like this in Scientology. It is all stuff that would make complete sense, and if a Scientologist was watching that, they'd probably find it quite funny. So the idea was that this is another thing as well, is by using terminology like this, you're proving to anyone who is still in Scientology that we do actually know what we're talking about. In Scientology, they like to make you believe that suppressive people who speak out against Scientology don't know what they're talking about. They're lying. They are all going against Scientology and making it up, and they're not actually accurately representing what Scientology is all about. So by using these terminology, like these words and this Scientology language, it's kind of actually sending a message to existing Scientologists that we do know what we're talking about. We're not making it all up. And we are, in fact, actually all people who have been in Scientology and have been affected by it. And now we're talking out about our experiences. So there's a twofold reason why I did that. So yeah, please do, when this live stream is finished, leave your comments below. God, that was so much fun. All right, I've kind of been ignoring the chat because I wanted to get through all of those. So now is Q&A time. So please do send in your questions. Super chats will be answered first. Let's have a little look. Colonel Brock, you spell things funny. Well, I think English came before American, so I think you guys spell things funny. I'm joking. Yeah, S's instead of Z's and so on. Juliana, it's super cool that you guys submitted. I hope more people submit and possibly Alex gets to do a part 2 or something. Totally down for that. I did ask growing up in Scientology, Aaron Smith-Levin, but he said he didn't want to take part. I was able to use a clip from his channel, a video he did recently, but I just didn't get around to editing that. Mark and Claire Headley said they wanted to take part but didn't have enough time. So I think next time, if I do a part 2, I will have to give people more than a week's notice, because apparently that's not enough to get a sentence together. So if there is a desire, I will do a part 2 for sure, and hopefully get those guys to take part as well. But I was really happy with the response that I got, and no one really seemed to be against the idea. I think it was nice that they replied, even if they couldn't send in a video. Alrighty, let's have a look at where we're going in the chat. Join Doug and Alex in this amazing Discord group. Yes, so if you're on Discord, we have a nice little community going called Days But Not Confused, where former Scientologists and cult watchers and people who are just interested can come together and join our community and ask us questions and chat. It's a really nice, friendly environment. It's a really cool place to be, so definitely come check us out if you haven't already. There are 115 members already, which is just blowing me away. Yeah, so that was fascinating to get set up with Doug. How about school schedule? What do you mean by school schedule? I don't quite understand what you mean by that. That might be something that's gone over my head. Goldie, yeah, hilarious things Scientology say to none other. This is actually another video that someone did. Tatiana, I think was the name, who did a video of a similar vein using Scientology terminology, and I thought that was hilarious. It's actually part of the inspiration for why I did this, so go and check that video out if you haven't already. Alrighty, cool. Let's see what questions we've got in the chat. Also, don't forget there's the glossary in the description down below, so if I've gone too fast, you can always go and look words up. It's actually probably quite good to have that at hand when you're watching SPTV stuff anyway. Marcus, gay stuff was not explicitly not okay in the Mission Network I was worked in, only if you were broke, and if you're gay, you're always on course reading Science and Survival. I'm actually going to do a whole separate video on this and Scientology's anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. It says in Dianetics that being homosexual is anti-survival. It's an aberration. It's a perversion. The scripture is definitely there to say being gay was not okay. It's not that it was explicitly not okay in the mission. Yeah, so I think in a similar vein in London, it wasn't that you weren't allowed to be gay, but it was that if you were gay, you need to handle that so that you're not gay before you can go up the bridge. In Scientology, Science of Survival, the book talks about the tone level of emotion, chart of human evaluation and emotion, and being gay is 1-1 on the tone scale, which is covert hostility, the same as a suppressive person. So if you're gay, you need to handle that and not be that anymore before you can go up the bridge. And one of the reasons that Scientology do this is because they'll still take your money. They still want you to be a Scientologist. If you're gay or not, they'll still take your money. But you won't be able to achieve OT8 or anything with while you're considered gay. So yeah. Did you ever have Chinese school? Not really. Every now and then we would in our staff musters, in our meetings. Chinese school is Aaron Hubbard's way of basically telling, it was his descriptive term for kind of chanting things. Claire Headley actually did an example of this in one of her videos recently, where you learn something verbatim by repetition. So someone would say something, I can't think of an example, but, the sky is blue and the grass is green is an example. And then everyone would chant back, the sky is blue and the grass is green. And you keep doing that until it goes into your head and you don't forget it. So it's this idea of learning something verbatim, chanting it until you can never forget it. So that's what Chinese school is. But no, we didn't really do it. We did a little bit, but not nearly as much as in the Sea organization. Who are the big UK whales, Troy Snuffles? So whales in Scientology are the big donors, the people who are spending a lot of money in Scientology and funding Scientology. And in the UK, there are a few families. The Wackley family I worked with quite a lot. Charlie was my senior. His dad, Nick, is no longer with us, but he was a very prominent former Scientologist. Here in the UK, he's got an interesting story that I will be talking about separately to this. There was the Milton family, the Ingram family, the Hodkin family. So Peter Hodkin is the UK Scientology lawyer who represents Scientology in all its court cases over here. He is really important and integral to Scientology here in the UK, and he funds a lot of Scientology and what goes on there. Mrs. J, can you give the number of people who took part? Can you give the name and number of people? Yes, we had Mike Rinder, Amy Scobie, Jeffrey Augustine, Karen Della Carriere, Catherine Olsen, Martin Padfield, Doug Scott Kramer, 7. YouTube poll, don't know, possibly. I might be able to do one in my community, but to keep it fair, I want people to vote in the comments below as soon as this live stream finishes. And the person with the most votes will be crowned the winner of the SP challenge. Pronunciation of schedule. C is silent. In America, yeah, you'd say schedule, but we say schedule here in the UK. I spelled interbulation incorrectly earlier. I didn't look up the spelling. Well, you got it right now. That's how you spell interbulation. Alrighty, I'm just scrolling through these questions. It's aluminium in the UK. Yes, that is true. It's not aluminum, it's aluminium. We put an extra I in it. Bok buddy. Then Brits just mangle the English language. No. So people from England mangle the English language. Right. I had an argument with someone once. This has just reminded me. I had an argument with someone once online where I had to, this guy was convinced that English comes from America and we took it from them. And he just couldn't understand the concept of English coming from England and then it going over to America and then you guys using it because we, went and invaded the space and declared it a territory. And, English comes from England. That's the original birthplace of the language. But this guy didn't understand it. I thought it was interesting. Beachcomber, no posh, just Brits. I teach English as a foreign language, so grammar and pronunciation is important, but I'm less scout in it. I also am actually from Essex. I grew up in Essex, so that is hilarious. I didn't know you're from Essex. Hey, to fellow Essexonian. ZZ Top, not a ZZ Top. That is true. We do say ZZ Top, but I think that's just because it's the band name. We also say Blink 182 rather than Blink 182, which is what you guys say in America. Oh, righty. I've been asked if I drove here from England. Hilarious. One love 51000. I'm here strictly for the British accent. I seriously love it. Excellent. Whittam. Yeah, so I used to live about half an hour from Whittam in North Essex. Hilarious. Devonshire all the way. Love Devon. My grandma used to live in Devon. I love it down there so much. I'm loving all these UK people. I think this is one of the benefits of doing early streams. I get you UK and EU guys in here. So, all right. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone who has taken part in the SP challenge. As I said, please do comment down below once the live stream is over to vote on your favorite SP challenge videos. Before I do go, I want to, again, just shout out all of my channel members and those people that supported me through Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to support the channel, you can buy me a coffee with the link down below, or you can become a channel member. If you're a channel member, you support the channel and you get like a PTS badge or an SP badge. If you support it for 3 months, you get exclusive stuff in the community. You get access to videos a little bit earlier, a couple of fun little perks like that. The best way is through Buy Me a Coffee, because YouTube take like a 30% cut from super chats and that sort of thing. So that's ways of supporting financially. But the best way of supporting the channel, as I've always said, is engagement. So like, share, subscribe, comment, all that sort of stuff. I know it sounds cheesy, but it really, really does help push out these videos to more people and therefore helps the channel grow. Talking of really kind gestures, I can't say the name because the person wanted to stay anonymous. But I mentioned in passing on a video recently that I need a new microphone. And the one I was using before was borrowed. And someone reached out to me and actually donated the exact amount of money needed to buy a new microphone. So this is my new HyperX Quadcast. Which is the microphone I had my eyes on for a while, and it was paid for by a very generous viewer. So thank you to this anonymous person. It's very, very kind of you. I'm using it now. I hope you guys enjoy the quality, because it is a really good microphone and it was very expensive. The light color changing on the lights is really cool, and you can actually change that. I just haven't managed to play around with it yet. So yeah, thank you to that person who did that. It's very, very kind of you. All right, guys, so that's it for now. I hope you guys stay tuned for SPTV, because at 1 a.m. UK time, Pearl on the Go is going to be going live with Nasty Nathaniel. So let's just have a little quick look at the schedule here once more. I made this graphic, by the way, because I want SPTV to really seem quite like united and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's currently 9:25 in the UK. So at 1 a.m. UK time, so that's 9, 10, 11, 12. So 3.5 hours, Pearl on the Go is going live. So go and check him out. So yeah, thank you so much. If you want to support the channel, as I said, like, share, subscribe, buy me a coffee, all that stuff. And I will see you guys on the very next one. Here is the schedule for the rest of SPTV tonight. Thank you.